Hey guys, we are back checking out another video from the homeless American Holocaust. It's another one of his entries into Diary of a Homeless Man Being Exterminated. Exterminated. As you can see, already like a bombastic, like channel name, and the diary entry is like very fatalistic and like morbid. So, yeah, just by the description, I'm thinking it's going to be very paranoia-induced psychobabble with like endless embellishments. It's 40 fucking minutes too, so I'm not too sure I'm going to make it through it all. I might do a part one, part two, or just like scrub through it quickly, but we're going to lose a lot of the detail that Paul wants us to hear, so we're just going to go with it, and here we go.
Dear Diary,
Dear Diary.
I should document the topic of being stalked while I'm sleeping. And I use the word stalker to represent anybody who comes up close to me and or does something very bizarre that either is meant to affect me or does affect me.
Yeah, well, that's like a completely like narrow definition and like pretty much tailor-made for you. Like, not many people would think of a stalker in that way, but whatever.
A few of them are true stalkers in the criminal, scary sense.
Yeah, not like the
Most of
other
them are just
bullshit
people
stalkers
out
do.
doing their thing, but they're so rude and impolite that they don't even think about.
So, like, they're just living their life. You are like holed up in this car, and like, are you saying that they cannot like be in this car park and live their life because you're there? Like, how rude and inconsiderate.
They're just so self-absorbed that they don't even think, oh, hey, I just pulled right in front of somebody who's sitting in their car by themselves out in this big, huge, empty parking lot, and I'm leaving my headlights on them for a full hour.
Paul, you sleep in this car like you are hunched down below your wheel, asleep half the time. Like, what if they don't even realize you're there? Like, what if they have no idea they're even like interrupting someone who's trying to sleep? They could be just like looking at their phone the entire time. But go ahead.
Somehow this just escapes them because other people don't matter. Those are just rude people.
Assholes, yeah, not
But the
stalkers.
thing is, from my perspective, which is the only perspective I can really
It's the only perspective we ever get.
focus on, I have no idea which is which, often until it's too late. So, on a recent video I did, the one called, I believe, yeah, Inhuman Parasites.
It sounds like a metal album, like a Slayer album or something. Inhuman parasites. Yeah.
The video, which I was doing at about 12:30 at night, I actually got interrupted by a night stalker. And this was the real
What?
thing. This
Like fucking Richard Ramirez, like that kind of Night Stalker. Holy shit! I thought he was dead. What the fuck?
was a real stalker. In fact, this particular vehicle has popped up in my life far too often. I got their license plate on that video. So you can go watch that video if you want to see what it looks like live when it happens.
Like, how is this? Like, how is this dude a homeless dude for so long? Like, for so long as Paul has been homeless and like not realize these are people probably fucking scoping out their dealer. Like, they have like literally got on Telegram or something and like ordered up some baggies or whatever, and the dealer's like, yeah, I'm in this car park, over by Macy's or Target or something, like round the back. Just come look for me. And it's like this nondescript sort of description of where he is, and like they're literally just circling around, like, is this the guy? Is this the guy? I don't know if it's the guy. It might be the guy. Oh shit, he's got a camera. Oh fuck.
Of course, with a stalker, once you pull out the camera and you point it at them, because a stalker's gonna, they're either gonna sit in the distance with their lights off and try to be nondescript, or they're gonna try to be intimidating. The intimidating ones are gonna shine their headlights on you. Often they're bright lights. That means they can.
Yeah, that just sounds like whatever this big box, department store or like mall complex has, like plain clothes or like plain car, people who just go around and like literally try to give you the bum's rush. Like they try to annoy you out of leaving the area. So when like Stacy and Karen turn up in the morning with the kids, they're like literally not getting out of their car and seeing you like dead or like dying in your car, like covered in filth and rubbish. Like it's just not a good positive reflection of like the area if that's what they're looking at.
See me clearly, but I can't see them. All I see are these lights I can't even look at. But that also means if I pull out a camera, they see that immediately, and that usually inspires them to take off, which is what happened in this case on that video. Now I was making
It's like the stalkers, like holy water. Like you just like hit them with the camera and they go.
a video there. I wasn't asleep, but last night I actually found a shady spot. So imagine that you have a basically a big box store. It has a little road that goes around it, and in the back where the loading zone is and everything, and on the other side there's another little road, but that little road, which will allow 2 cars, also has enough room for parking spaces, and it has the lines for parking spaces, but nobody ever parks there. That's where people who are resting, or maybe a semi-truck driver might bring his cab in there sometimes. The police will
See, this is the problem with Paul. He's meticulous and like so detail orientated that he bloviates on about shit that doesn't matter to the story. Is like he's trying to set the table in terms of like narrating this story, and it's like it doesn't matter. It almost reminds me like when you're a kid and like you've obviously done something wrong, but you want to cover your ass, so you make up a lie, and the lie is so uh, you know detailed and like drawn out that it almost is like you're overcompensating for what, like the story doesn't need that to be that in depth. It just needs to be simple. But with Paul, like I think he's literally thinking about this shit all day, so he's getting his stories pretty straight. It's like he's giving the story to a fake policeman. Like he's telling this in such detail that this is a police officer's report, you know?
sometimes go there to write up their reports.
What did I say? What the hell did I just say?
And a lot of closet smokers come out to have their cigarette there, and a lot of the drug
Yeah,
addicts
those
come out
widows.
to shoot up or whatever they're doing.
Yeah, so drug addicts are in the area, like they are literally in the area. They are scoping out whoever their dealer is, whoever's this guy is going to be doing the drop off and the pickup, whatever the case may be. So there is going to be like drug addicts and drug fucked people in the area going around looking for their dealer who's just in this nondescript part of the car park because, they're not going to pick it up from his house.
So, I mean, it's just kind of a random host of people. It's been pretty quiet lately because this particular store, which oddly enough is devoted to home stuff, they've
The
been
hell does
calling
that
out
mean?
tow trucks on anybody who parks there lately. And the tow trucks are just salivating. They just love it. There was one time at that particular store, and I don't blame the store in this case because semis somehow got the word out that, hey, you can park at this place.
Yeah, so they're like literally being proactive about getting rid of things that are not meant to be in the car park, including yourself.
Which wasn't true. So it just became like a truck stop, and they actually took. I think this was during COVID, though. Everything's getting shut down. They probably didn't know what to do, but that whole row of spaces was filled with semi cabs backed in. It looked like sales and service plates,
Oh my god, I don't
in one
care.
name and get rid of them all. I mean, that's not a good thing. The semi should not be doing that. Although it's monitored by the Department of Transportation, so
Ugh.
so I feel for them. I really do. But in this case, what it was these guys were just parking their trucks and leaving them there indefinitely. I mean, I don't know what they were thinking. That was just foolish.
Yeah,
But
you
as far as people just
dumbasses.
parking in your lot, you know, I don't know why it's a big deal. But anyway, so
Anyway,
over the last week or so, it's been pretty tame back there. You know, just basically just the closet smokers and the drug addicts. I haven't seen the police. I haven't even seen much of the trucks. The landscapers come in and get in your face.
again, that's again, it's just backing up what I was saying. Is like they would be like subcontracted through whatever this like department store, like this general area is like. They are probably giving them marching orders. If you see these like resident homeless people in the area like parked up, go around and make noise around them so they get in their car or they take off and get out of this like area. Like it must be a thing.
During the daytime. So last night it was probably about 5 o'clock, I would say, somewhere in that neighborhood. And because I was in kind of a shady spot, not really because the sun's still up pretty high, the sun really doesn't go down till about 9 now, which means the sun's just up all day for what it's worth. I mean, you get from about 9 or 10 at night until about 5 in the morning. That's all the darkness you get. But it was fairly cool. I had the windows
Fascinating.
down a bit, and normally it would be borderline in terms of the heat, whether I could sleep in it or not. But the thing is, because of this jaw problem, this infection, I am
That you like literally refuse to do anything about. Like you do nothing about it, and it's only ever going to get worse, and it's probably going to turn into a massive abscess, or like you're literally going to be like it's going to go into your bloodstream, probably get like some sort of like sepsis or something like that going on, and yeah, you will fulfill your prophecy. You will be murdered, like indirectly, by this HR company that you're obsessed with.
been able to sleep the last 5 days really at all. Just an hour once in a while. I mean, it's horrible. It's just so painful every time I lean back in this. And one of the graphics I've used with this diary is a graphic of me laying back in my brown blanket, sleeping at night. That was from way back, like 2016, something like that. I think it was before I even got that job.
So there you go. There's like a pattern of homelessness. Like I don't think it's like actually he is in a rough spot. He just like literally wants to live this lifestyle because um he is a victim, he is a martyr. Like the more pain and frustration and you know all that in his life goes on, the more of a Jesus Christ figure he will be in the end when they find all this documentation of videos of his life. People say, "Oh my God, he did it so hard." Like, obviously, everything was working against him, and there was nothing he could do in his life to change anything.
And that was in the Cougar. The Cougar was a different story. It had a different type of seat. The seat could go all the way back. I can't because I'm stuck with this box of stuff from my desk at work that I
Yeah, he's hanging on to all this fucking shit, and it's in the back of his car, so he's literally, it's there. So why can't he move that into the side of his window there or like over there so he can properly recline? Like, it's just ridiculous.
can't fit in storage. I can't lean this seat back. And that seat had a metal bar that was sticking out and stuck into my solar plexus. It hurt horribly. Really. I mean, it took a couple of years before that pain finally went away. Now it's coming back because this is a Ford as well. This seat structure is essentially the same. It's not as sporty
No,
as the
you are
Cougar,
so
but it
tortured.
has that metal bar in the same place. And because of the way I lay in here and sit in here, it's wearing away the cushion. So the metal bar is poking out more and more every day. So it's essentially the exact same knife in my back, so to speak, which
Mm.
is, I'm sure, a comment on my previous job.
All right, there you go. Like it's these word associations. This is another thing with Paul is like you associate any like it's a non sequitur. He will just like he will jump back and forth like weirdly between that. So backstabber was the woman who was part of him getting unjustly fired. So knife, back, association, he leaps into this sort of bullshit.
That I have to deal with. So it's really uncomfortable sleeping in this car. There's no way I can just lay the seat back and sleep in it. You can't do it. Even if I can lay the seat back, it is not a comfortable way to sleep at all. So the only way I can sleep is to turn one way or the other. Like right now, I've got this thing right in my back. But what can I do about it? But I have this armrest. So if I have the armrest, I can lay like this. Now the problem with this, of course, is that, this is window level right here. So anyone out there can see this, and if somebody drives in a high vehicle, they can see even more. They can see me in it, and that puts you in danger. And
Yeah, they're looking for you, Paul. They're out to look for you in your busted old piece of shit like Toyota Camry or whatever you have. Like, yeah, they're like your target number one.
and if I'm sleeping like this, it doesn't take long for my whole hand to just fall asleep, start tingling. Plus, if I do this, there are times when it'll just slip, and that can cause problems. It can hurt my neck very badly. So sometimes
More injuries, Paul. More torment. More like suffering for you.
I'll sleep like this, but if I do that, then of course you also get the hand falling asleep. But last night I laid like this, and I just expected to take a nap. I was actually trying to think of something. I wanted to focus on it and
Yeah, some fucking line of bullshit for your videos.
kind of meditate on it. And I figured if I fell asleep, it wouldn't be that long, because, it doesn't take that long for my hand to fall asleep, and that usually wakes me up. But instead what happened was, because I hadn't slept for so many days with this jaw problem, this infection,
Might want to get that looked at, mate.
I crashed, which is going to happen at some point. You can't do anything about it. So I crashed. And it turns out, so let me just put it from my perspective what happened. So I lay down.
Homeless people must really fucking hate people like this. Like, he is like helpless by design. Like nothing he does in his life is actively improving his current circumstances. He's just like always like he's digging further into the realm of I need to be tortured, I need hardship, I need to be like a like desert father in the fucking desert 3,000 years ago and like suffer hardships for his for his cause.
But I go like this, and I start thinking about what I was thinking about,
Mm.
and apparently I doze off. So the next thing I know, like waking up in the hospital, the next thing I know, I open my eyes. It's pitch black out, because this side of that store has no lights for the parking lot. And it turns out at the time of night I awoke, the store was closed, so their lights were off. So it was pitch black. Now, whenever I wake up, the first thing I have to do is check my mirrors. Well, the first thing I have to do is figure out where I am. So people in a home don't have to worry about that. They wake up in their bed or on their couch. They know
Yeah, you privileged motherfuckers.
where they are. Not me. Every single time I wake up, the first thing I have to do is try to kick my brain into gear enough to figure out where I am. What city am I in? Where am I? Where am I? Because if I don't know that, I don't know where to look in terms of securing my safety. As I'm doing that,
Like, do you think like these fucking gang banging stalker like weirdos are like how much fucking hassle would that be? Like getting him out of the car, hijacking his car, and the car barely runs, and then you're like, all right, well at least I have this car. I'm gonna like rummage through it for like whatever of like value. What of value does this guy have? Literally nothing. So they've like wasted all this time like holding him up and like throwing him out of the car and like sifting through it like ugh.
I'll check the mirrors, and that helps me figure out where I am, and then I have to kind of look and see, exactly what's going on. I have to have situational
The fuck is that lanyard there? I wonder what that is.
awareness. Well, in this case, I wake up, I open my
Wake up!
eyes, and I see two bright headlights just pointed straight at me.
Shit.
There's a car.
Uh-oh. This is not good.
I wasn't parked in the roadway. I was parked in those lanes, but I was parked perpendicular to the lanes because that's where the shade was. So this car was in there, and they're just sitting there with their bright headlights on, probably 50 feet in front of me, 40, 50 feet, very close. And
As the crow flies.
So as I wake up, I see these headlights. My instinct is to check my mirrors, figure out where I am and all that, but now I've got this brand new thing here. And it's pitch black, which it normally isn't. Most places I go, there's lights, there's something to parts. As my head comes up, this person can see me clearly. I can't see anything but headlights. So as my head goes up, I'm just like, what the heck? And I'm looking around and I'm trying to figure out, where am I? But another instinct of mine is when you have something like that, I reach for the camera. But I don't know where the camera is, and it's dark. So I'm fumbling around, so I start doing this, trying to find the camera. And that lets this person know that I'm doing something. So they start moving.
What if they think you're like going for a gun or something, and then they like ram you, like literally like throw it into gear and like ram you?
At that point. And they start moving very, very slowly, one of these 1-2 mile an hour riding your brakes things, and they drive right by me. And all I can see is that it's one of these dark sedans, these dark four-door sedans I see all over the place. I call them CIA cars.
Who are you, like fucking Terry A. Davis? What the fuck? Was it glowing? Was it glowing, Paul?
Bright, new, shiny. A lot of these Somalis seem to get them for free from the state. They don't get jobs, but they get homes, and they get cars, and they get cell phones.
All right. Kind of based.
But I don't know who it is. A lot.
See, like, I mean, that's funny. This is so funny. He's such a virtuous, nice person, and he's done so many selfless and beautiful acts, while he was employed and, in previous times. And yet, like, the casual racism isn't a problem. Like, fuck those Somalis, I suppose.
A lot of the gangbangers drive them as well from Minneapolis. So I don't want to see a black CIA car.
Black person.
Those are usually a very spooky driver.
Spooky. All right, I get it.
Not necessarily that they're gonna mess with you, but they might.
No, they're not.
So
they're not gonna mess with you.
Slow.
They don't
finally
care.
find the camera and I pop it on. Somewhere around that time, I remembered. Okay, now I know where I am. I think. And I start up the car, and turn on my headlights, and that confirms where I am. As they're going by, of course, they've got black windows, so I can't see who it is. And they're just driving by really slow. And this is creepy because I have no way to know if this person has an AK-47 pointed at me, or how do I know? Or if it's a carjacker, if they've got, 3 guys in the car and they're all going to jump out and swarm the car. I have no way to know.
They're not going to jack this car. Like, they literally have to call a towing service first.
So I start moving forward as they're passing by, basically, somewhere around that neighborhood. And I make a U-turn, and I come up behind them, and I pull the camera up as if it were my weapon. And I pull the thing up, and I start trying to film, but it's so dark. All you've got are these tail lights, and the camera's moving. And another thing with the camera, when I'm doing something urgent like that, quite often I'll accidentally turn the camera off when I think it's on.
Oh,
turning
you
it on,
fucking
or vice versa.
moron.
And that's why I get so many of these video clips of me pulling a camera down and sticking it on my chair and sitting on my chair for 6 hours. You know,
Got to be quick on the
and
draw.
I'd never capture what it is I'm trying to capture. And ultimately, that's what ended up happening here. So the only thing I caught was like 1 or 2 seconds of this vehicle, and then the camera goes down.
But,
So when I thought I was turning it off is when I was turning it on, and it was just blurry. You couldn't see anything.
rookie
The only thing I could
mistake.
tell was the configuration of their tail lights and that it was a white license plate. At that point, since I'm turning around behind them, they make a right turn, and they start exceeding the posted speed limit, shall we say.
Okay.
I'm not a lawbreaker, so I follow them, but I'm driving the speed limit.
Well, aren't you fucking great? Well done. Well done.
Because I know that down at the end of this road is one of the major intersections with like the third longest light in Burnsville. So, and it's very well lit at night, so I'm going to have a chance to get their license number. Because I keep a record. I have video, I have photos, and I keep a written record of anybody who pulls a stunt like this.
Yeah, like meticulously keeping records and documentation on everything and anyone in any circumstance. Like it all sort of like leads back to the idea that this guy was not completely obsessive over this like firing from his job. Like everything about him is just like meticulously documented and like to an absurd point. It's just like, why? Like, what are you so paranoid of? Like, come on.
And as you do that over time, you start noticing which cars are coming into your presence often. And when you notice that they're doing this at various places around the whole community, that's when you know you've got a real stalker. And there's more of them than you would ever imagine, especially.
So, are you saying that they are a gang of stalkers? Like, gang stalking you?
If you're
Absurd.
making YouTube videos, and there's a lot of creepy weirdos out there who will figure out where you are and come and.
I think I'm like the only one who actually watches you, Paul. Like, I might be the only one.
Do whatever it is they do while watching you suffer.
What the fuck? What was that? What the hell was that?
Videos, and there's a lot of creepy weirdos out there who will figure out where you are and come and do whatever it is they do while watching you suffer.
All right, so like this is pure like victim martyr complex of this guy. He is suffering. So the demons, the evil, villainous stalkers and harassers are literally giving themselves pleasure with his pain. They're like looking at him in their cars and they're whacking it. They're whacking their bag hard because he is in such torment. Yeah.
So as we're approaching this light where I think I'm
No.
finally going to get their license plate, they turn into Restaurant Row instead. Now, I don't really know Restaurant Row. I can't afford to eat in restaurants, so I've never actually driven in there. So you've got all these restaurants. So it's so late, there's no traffic. I stop at the intersection and I pull up the camera, but all I capture again is just this blurry video of 1 or 2 seconds of them turning the corner down there.
Oh
and they're
shit.
starting to weave their way through these.
Yeah, you can probably hear his like brake pads or his transmission is completely shot in that car, and it's just like whining and like whistling. Like, hey, there is a truck there. There's the truck he was going on about.
These restaurant parking lots. And I'm like, great. So, because someone who does something like that is that creepy, that is someone I want to get their license plate. That's too unusual. this huge Walmart-sized parking lot, completely empty, dark, pitch black, and someone decides to park just feet in front of me with their headlights pointed at me while I'm sleeping. That is a license plate I need to capture.
Yeah, I guarantee it's like some like plainclothes security that the mall is hired to do these like move on tactics, like give these guys the bums rush. So like when people come in to shop and spend money, they don't have to be forced to like associate or be around the fact that like, yeah, this is a homeless encampment, full of people like Paul who is kind of fucked in the head.
So I'm sitting there at the entrance, kind of blocking the entrance to these closed restaurants, and I'm just thinking, God, do I want to follow this person or what? I mean, I'm not,
Yeah,
I'm not
live
out to
life
be a
dangerously.
stalker, but I've got to find out
Go
who
for it.
this is for my safety.
You're not stalking anyone, are you, Paul?
So I turn around and I go down there, and there's a few cars here and there, and there's a lot of black cars in this state, in this city.
I'm sure the payoff to this story is going to be so good. Like, it's going to be worth the
I don't know
wait.
why, but I think it represents their heart and their soul or something. It's just everything's darkness.
Uh-huh.
There's so many black cars in Minnesota. I don't know if it's that way all around the country these days or what. But there's just no color. There's no life. Everything is this dark blackness. And
Yeah, it's like you're living in this hellscape holocaust of genocide and, like, being rounded up on the streets and getting plugged in the head. Yeah. It's the reality you live in, Paul.
I'm driving around,
Though America's kind of fucked up, so maybe.
and it's like I never got enough of a visual on them to know who they were, to even identify them. And I was like, this is hopeless. But I quickly realized one thing. This restaurant row has like a little S-curve, and then you can get to that main road where the intersection is and just turn out without having a stoplight. So that's probably what they were doing, because all the cars I saw in there did not have people in them. So I'm pretty sure what they did was they snaked through there and they turned right down there, because you can't turn left there. Well, if that's the case, that means that where they ended up after turning right is essentially the same place they started, where they were shining their headlights on me. It just brings them right back to the other side of that. So it's like, why would you drive that route? Do you have a purpose to your existence or what?
It could be like a multitude of factors. I'm thinking it is like literally people who have like got drugs off like some app, come into this like Walmart parking lot that this dealer has said, look, I'm in this parking lot somewhere towards the back, left side, uh, towards the target or whatever. Come find me, and they're literally just doing circles. I've probably done this in my lifetime at some point. Like, where's my dude? Where is he? He said he was here.
You sit there facing me while I'm sleeping in a pitch black parking lot with your headlights on. When I start moving and I start reaching for the camera, you suddenly feel the need to go, but you go very slow and intimidating. When I turn around behind you, you take off like a rocket, and then you basically make a U-turn to go right back to where you started. It's like, again, this is a license plate I really wanted to capture. I never got it though.
Like, you're gonna add them to your Pokedex? What the fuck? Like,
And that sucks, because if I could put that in my log, and this car looked
it's just another piece of the puzzle in the grand conspiracy of your life. Like, it's just another piece of the puzzle to fit in. And he's annoyed that he doesn't have this, license plate, so he can connect another dot on the whiteboard.
a lot like that car in the video, the Inhuman Parasites video.
Yeah, that was a great Iron Maiden album.
But I see a lot of these CIA cars.
Glowies.
But I guess my point is this. Who
We
else
got to
out
run
there
them
when
over,
they go to
Terry.
sleep at night has to worry about, first of all, who has to worry about waking up and having a human being that you don't know just standing close to you, looking through glass, staring at you? Which I
Prisoners?
have all the time. I'll have a group of people carrying on a conversation while I'm in here sleeping, and I wake up and they're just standing there 10 feet away. I'll have some weirdo. I remember one time, this is before I got that job. Shortly after I became homeless, I was sleeping, and some guy who looked like Stephen Wright, you know, like bald hair, and he had this big bushy hair all everywhere else. He's trying to get into my car.
Is that the guy from Ghost with Patrick Swayze? Let me have a look. Stephen Wright. Oh, what? It is him. That is pretty scary. All right, Paul, I'm with you on that one. That is kind of frightening, especially him in that movie. He was like a tormented ghost that was like on a train or something. It was very scary, that part.
He's just trying my doors, and he's yelling, "Why are you sleeping in there? Why are you sleeping in there?" And he walks around the car and tries to get in that door. "Why are you sleeping in there?" And that's in the Cougar. I had to call the police on this guy. This guy was a nut job. Just completely off his rocker, and he wouldn't leave. He just kept walking around and trying the door over and over. This is the kind of psychos I have to deal with all the time.
Yeah.
But who out there, when they wake up, have to worry about that? Worry that when they wake up in their bed or on their couch, that someone they don't even know is going to be just standing there staring at them. I have to worry about that all the time because it happens too often. Who wakes up and has a car with their headlights pointed straight at you in pitch black? You wake up in your dark bedroom and you've got, that would be the equivalent of having someone with a flashlight, shining a flashlight in your eyes when you wake up in bed. Do you know what that feels like? Does anyone conceive of what that feels like?
Yeah, it's probably annoying.
Especially if you don't even know where you are when you wake up. You literally don't even know what city you're in. Do I still have my job and I'm in Eden Prairie? Have I gone out as far as Apple Valley or Farmington or something? Where am I? I don't even know.
Yeah, he says he doesn't want to be located, and he needs to be discreet about where he is. Yet he's like dropping suburbs and shit in, I guess, Minnesota or Minneapolis or wherever the fuck.
It's a horrible feeling, and it happens all the time. And I've accumulated a lot of videos of these stalkers. And again, a stalker could just be someone who's very rude and impolite, but their influence on me has no less terror than a real stalker, because I have no idea who they are or what they're doing. They shouldn't be that rude. It doesn't take a lot to train a small child. You know, it's very rude to go up to the only car in a big parking lot and to just shine your headlights right into the eyes of the person who's sitting there and just sit there. Even if you're just staring at your phone, they can't tell. All they can see is headlights. What they see is somebody watching them. And a lot of these gangbanger cars that I see, they're filled with people. They're in the back seat, they're in the front seat, and I've seen it happen where they stop somewhere and it's like a clown car. Just all these gangsters just pour out of the car. And if you watch videos of carjackings and stuff, that's essentially what it is. They pull up next to you, a couple guys pull out,
Man, they got to be desperate if they're rolling you, dude. Seriously, like more effort than it's worth.
They're feet away. They can have a gun in your face just before you even know what's going on. And then the other one goes around and they try to get into the car and take your car.
Your transmission's so shot that they probably wouldn't get anywhere with this goddamn car.
So I tried my best to get the license plate this time, and I couldn't do it.
Maybe next time.
And that's very disturbing because what they did was extremely disturbing. There's no rational excuse for what that car did. Nothing. Absolutely none. If they're just sitting there.
Yeah, there is like no rational reason why that person was in that car park at that time. I went past you, like, there's no other reason except they are a demonic hellspawn HR affiliated acolyte that is sent to torment your every moment.
They're looking at their phone, or if they're in Uber or something, there is a Walmart-sized parking lot you can park in where you're not bothering anybody. But to just sit there and shine your lights on the only car in the whole lot. And I know I was the only car in the whole lot because I circled around as well and came back.
what if you are literally in another homeless person's like spot? What if this has always been their spot and you've just turned up on like on a dime and like taken their spot, so they're trying to like get rid of you? Like, is that a consideration? Like, I'm thinking like homeless people have that tendency of, this is my spot. Don't take my goddamn spot, and I'm gonna really annoy you now to possibly move you on, so I can reclaim what was mine. Well, you get the point.
And there was no one else in that lot. So I'll leave it for another diary entry to go into detail on these stalkers and maybe show some videos, but it's hard to capture.
All right. I've had enough. There's still 15 minutes left. I might do a part two. I might go through what's left and do a part two tomorrow. Fascinating story. Highly exhilarating. My heart was in my mouth. He had video of it, but it's like whatever. Like it's literally any of these sort of scenarios that you could draw up in your head to why this person is here. Like there's a million different reasons, and the reason that he's thinking is probably not the one. Um, I'm sure within like the homeless community, like there are certain established like rules or maybe unspoken rules that you don't just start parking up in someone's spot, and like maybe that headlight thing is like to say, hey, it was mine, you need to move on. Or like my initial theory is it's just like whatever Walmart security, like plainclothes guys that maybe it's the city council, who the fuck knows, like literally moving these guys on with annoying tactics, like with not so much intimidation, but like just more like, I'm going to make you uncomfortable and you're going to get annoyed and you're eventually just going to fuck off. And, it's resolved in their mind. So, yeah, Paul is still very, very, very paranoid and, borderline schizophrenic. So these scenarios just don't really occur to him. Like he's not really thinking about it in that way. He's thinking about it in a grand conspiracy, meticulous, like HR department from New Jersey's like big plan to murder him. A few steps removed, but they're going to murder him, and this is all just part of it. It's just part of the bigger. He's the main character, and it's what was that damn movie? Was the movie literally called Conspiracy Theory? But anyway, that is Paul, and I might do a part two. I might not. I'll check out the rest of the video and see if it's as exhilarating as the last 25 minutes. All right, guys. Peace out. Catch you later.